go. And we got our correspondent here today. We've missed you.
Missed y'all too. So good to see you.
We know you've been busy out there doing your thing.
Yeah.
All right, Greg.
Okay, Greg.
It helps taking it off mute. And I know we've all been through those challenges of thinking you're unmuted and you start talking. And then the worst is when you think you're muted and you start saying something and the phone's ringing. And then that's challenges of our new post-COVID lifestyle. Welcome to the community briefing. My name is Gregory Sneed. We are glad that you are all here to join us today. We have our guest who is David Brown. We'll hear more on him in a moment. A little bit about who I am, and the other co-hosts will introduce themselves shortly. My name is Gregory Sneed. I've been in the financial space for a little over 40 years, and I help my clients feel better about their money, help them to get organized and see their money on a dashboard, get out of debt, and work on a plan to be financially free. So I'm a financial coach because I believe that when you feel better about your money, you feel better about your life. I will put information in the chat and be glad to be a assistant and a tool for you to use in the future. Crystal?
Good morning, everyone. I'm Crystal Mitchell, the co-director of Recycling Black Dollars, as well as a co-host for this show and the Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert, which broadcasts live every Friday afternoon. And Conversations on the Patio, that's a new project that I just added on, which is it airs on Mondays at 12 o'clock. Welcome to the community briefing. This platform was designed so that we had a platform where we could share and hear from our community leaders and our community business owners that are just doing some incredible things out here. And we want to support them and we want to support our community, and we need a voice. So I have a fond saying of, if you're not at the table, you're on the menu. So this gets us on the table and at least know if you're going to be on the menu. and you can do something about that. So welcome to the community briefing. Please go out and share. We have some incredible guests on the show. Thanks to our Mr. Producers and my other co-hosts. I'm very proud of this project. So I want you guys to be proud of it, and it's ours. So it's not just me, Chris, me and Robin and Greg and Steve. It's all of you. So each one of you that come out every week, we want to thank you. Robert Sasacito, thank you for coming on and speaking. That's Mr. Robert from the Community Bill. So with that, I am going to turn it over to the dynamic Robin Billups.
Good morning, guys. Always glad to be here. Robin Billups with the Billups Group. I'm called the Connector because I think it's my mission in life is to help make connections. And Crystal kind of stole my thunder a little bit. I just wanted to thank the folks who dial in every week in and week out. You guys are here with us. You know, you provide feedback on what we're doing. We're always looking for speakers. We try to book we try to have a 30-day window on who we're going to book on the show. And again, thank you so much for spending the time. We also want you always to put your information in the chat box. And finally, make sure if there's a subject matter or something that you think that we haven't covered, we'd like to hear that from you, because again, a lot of you guys have been sticking out with us for a long time. And then earlier this week, I heard John Bryant from Operation Hope on Sirius Radio on Urban View with Karen Hunter. And one of the things that he reminded me to remind you guys is you can have a soul, you can be a business owner, you can either move into the survival mode, you can move into the thriving mode, but more importantly, we need to be moving into the generational building mode. And so again, you want to thrive, yes you do. But what you're working on and what you're building should be a legacy business for someone close to you. And it doesn't have to be a family member. always think about acquisitions and mergers and what am I going to do with this over the long haul. And that's why we're here to provide the resources, some examples, some good connections that you can make in order to grow your business, in order to help someone else grow their business. And again, whatever information we provide, we ask you to share that with the community because this is a community space. So I'm going to turn it over to Gregory and we'll get started.
And make sure you put your contact information in the chat box, as well as being an informative platform. It's a networking platform. So that's what Recycling Black Dollars does. We network and we increase our directories so that we have people to reach out to support us. Hey, Miss Donna. All right, Mr. Greg.
Okay, well, today we have Mr. David G. Brown, and I've always kind of wondered what the G stands for, as I thought it might be Gregory, but I see that it is Glenn with 2 N's.
Actually, goodness.
Goodness.
Goodness. Well, we might say great, or it's interesting because I used to think that nobody had the last name Sneed, but there are other Sneeds out there. But the name David Brown, I imagine you've got to use something else, because how many David Browns are there in the United States?
Well, there's a lot of David Browns, and that's the reason why I do emphasize the G. You ever see my logo, the G is being emphasized. And I know I worked for this corporation and the vice president's name was David Brown. Yeah. So I just felt I needed to create something that would distinguish me from all the other David Browns. Okay. All right. Well, we'll get to that in a moment there.
So Mr. David G. Brown is an NAACP Image Award winning artist, educator, and publisher, as well as a producer of cartoons, graphic novels, and comic books. Since 2003, he's been the political cartoonist for the Los Angeles Sentinel newspaper, and he's been the recipient of multiple prestigious merit awards for Best Editorial Cartoon from the National Newspaper Publishers Association, or known as NNPA. Pelican Publishing Company features his work in the 2005 to 2014 editions of the Best Editorial Cartoons of the Year. His book, Obama, Race, and the Media, Drawing My Own Conclusions, was awarded an NAACP Image Award in 2009. And as a result of the 92 Los Angeles civil unrest, he responded by speaking to youth about the creation of a comic book superhero called LA Phoenix. And he rises from the ashes of the riots to show young people that there's a better way to resolve conflicts. And this character is depicted in 3 different books, which I'm sure he will share with us momentarily. Please join me in welcoming David G. Brown.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate this opportunity to share, and I'm honored to be here. First of all, is there a way that I can share, screen share, or do you have to?
No, you can share. I've opened it up for you.
Okay, so I want to share. Let me see if I can.
We see your Zoom screen.
See my Zoom screen. Okay. Trying to get to my desktop.
Looks like you're on a Mac, so I can't help you.
Okay, let me see. All right.
While you do that, if you have questions for Mr. Brown, please put them in the chat room. We appreciate each of you being on mute. So I see a few of you who are not on mute. We appreciate you guys muting so that we don't get the interruptions from phones and dogs and kids and cats and
cats.
Okay, All right. Well, let me just maybe speak a little bit about my career. So I started out in advertising on the East Coast, And I just found that it was really limited in terms of opportunities. And so that's what brought me to Los Angeles. And I worked in marketing here in Los Angeles. And okay.
Where on the East Coast? Where did you grow up?
I was born in Philadelphia and grew up in New Jersey, South Jersey.
Cool.
So okay, so let's.
You were showing your magazine, the three magazines or the three.
Oh, because you could see it?
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I thought I had. Okay, can you see that?
Yeah,
Yep.
we can see it.
Oh, okay. So after the riots in Los Angeles or civil unrest, I wanted to do something to inspire young people to show there was a better way of solving conflict than violence. So that's when I came up with the concept of LA Phoenix, has all non-lethal weapons and deals with community issues. Issue 1 had an anti-graffiti theme to it. You can see the villain is a tagger. And the second book was an anti-gang. And the third one was anti-drug pro-education theme to it. So I did get quite a bit of publicity and exposure on that. And I was invited to come and talk to students. And I found out that students, they wanted to create their own stories, their own ideas. So that's when I applied for a grant with Cultural Affairs Department. And I created a series of books and a program at the Watchtowers called Tales from the Kids. So the whole concept of Tales from the Kids was I did a series of workshops with kids, taught them how to draw or utilize their skills and their ideas and write their own stories. So I did a series of books funded by grants from Cultural Affairs called Tales from the Kids. And Tales from the Kids were, the books were actually created by my students. So they came up with the ideas. I would prompt them with the idea of what would you do to make your community better? Or how do you want to change things? What are some of the challenges and how would you resolve that? So we would talk about issues about conflict resolution. How do you resolve conflicts, without violence? How do you avoid getting involved with gangs and the ills of drug abuse? So we did about 8 comic books, and I also partnered with the Los Angeles Library. So once the books were published and printed, then they would be distributed throughout the 65 schools in the library. And they also was a big part of the summer reading program. So it was an initiative to give out these books as part of the summer reading program as a way for encourage students to read and go to the libraries. So in addition to my Tales from the Kids series, I've also did some books dealing with health issues. I partnered with the NAACP and AXO program that I've been actively involved with, where we really target and educate youth and give recognition to them. So I did partner with the NAACP, and we created a book called Dying to Smoke. And I actually worked with some young people in creating the content for this book. And the whole idea was specifically targeting African-American teenagers and making them aware of the ills of smoking and what have you. And then I also did a book called Steps to a Drug-Free Life. I was funded by an organization called SHARE out of Beverly Hills. And it tells the story of a young person dealing with, drug abuse. And it also touches on the 12-step program, which is a program about weeding yourself away from drug abuse. I also had the opportunity to work with California African American Museum, and we did there was a exhibit called Intersections of South Central. And the premise of it was to compare the intersections in the 20s to the mid 2000s. And so I had the opportunity to design the logo and also design the exhibit book, which I'm displaying the cover to the exhibit book right now, as you can see. Okay. And then I had a couple. Okay. These are some historical books that I did. So I was funded by the Auto Club to actually do a book about the West Adams district and the historical aspects of it. I mean, and there was really some interesting things about West Adams because it was initially founded by some very powerful, influential people. And, you know, some of the research discovered that, you know, initially African Americans could not buy property in West Adams. And the West Adams was like the Beverly Hills is today. And so I did want to emphasize more about those restrictions, but the Auto Club didn't feel like it was like really politically correct for me to do that. I guess it's another thing sort of similar to critical race theory, you know, in terms of just not really wanting to air their dirty laundry about, you know, his historical significance of, you know, what he did. I also did a book with about the Watchtowers. Now, the thing that was exciting about that, I actually had young people were part of the whole process. So some of the illustrations in the book were actually done by some of our young people. Okay, what else do I have? Oh, I do have, this is the image of my political cartoon book about Barack Obama. And so this book was a collection of cartoons that I did, you know, in the Sentinel over his 8 years in office. So there's things like Obamacare and the initial race and with him and Hillary, and just documents his whole influence and, you know, his 8 years in office. So then I have a couple of political cartoons I want to share with you. This is my most recent, one of the most recent cartoons dealing with George Floyd. And I think, you know, part of the challenge of doing a political cartoon is to be able to convey something, you know, with an image and in a powerful way that influences people. And like I said earlier, you know, because there aren't a lot of political cartoonists of color, I feel like I have a special responsibility to be able to, you know, convey something from the Black perspective and be, as for lack of another word, to be the voice of folks that don't have a voice. So to me, it's just very important, and I take my role very serious in terms of being able to speak for, you know, others of color. So that's what I have in terms of images. I'm open to any questions that you have specifically for me. The other thing I just want to say too is for a decade, I did work for LAUSD as what they call a career technical educator. And so my specialty was arts, media, and entertainment. So my role was to prepare young people for careers in arts, media, and entertainment industry. You know, what's also interesting about, you know, LAUSD is I'm on the committee for Los Angeles Unified School District's Committee for African American Educators. And LAUSD is the second largest school district in the country. And only 2% of the teachers are African American males. So I think it's really important that we are represented, and that's why every opportunity that I have to speak to young people and be visible in public, you know, I jump on those opportunities to do that. So at this point, does anyone have any questions or?
Yes,
I mean,
David.
I know I said a mouthful.
No, this is awesome, David, and we have quite a few questions, and thank you so much. I love your political cartoons. I see them frequently online, and comment on them. When did you start? When was it discovered that you had this amazing talent? First, your as a cartoonist, what was your journey?
My journey. Okay, so fortunately, I have an older brother, that was an artist, and my mother was also an artist too. So those are my early influences. When I really started taking it seriously is when I went to college, and I did some work for the college newspaper. And I remember one of the first things that was going on campus was there was a housing shortage. So they were really packing, the dorms and overcrowdedness. And I remember it kind of prompted me to draw something, to do something about it. So that was initially when I started doing my political cartoons when I was in college.
Okay. And where do we buy your books? Because I would love to read about the West Angeles district. And I think what we have to do is learn a different language so that we can speak in code on social media. So when we want to get points across, I think it's important. And so I think your cartoons help a lot with that.
Okay. Well, specifically the West Adams district book, it's available free. It's because it was produced with a grant from the Auto Club. They do have an initiative, and I don't know if it's still going on now, where if you actually do development in the city of Los Angeles, a percentage of it has to go toward the arts if it's at a certain financial level. And so, because I was already working with culture affairs with my Tales from the Kids program, the Auto Club reached out to me. And they said, well, we have X amount of dollars, can you produce something for us? And in most cases, corporations, they'll have maybe a piece of artwork or a sculpture in their lobby, but they wanted to do something a little different. So it was a great opportunity. And what I can do is I can make arrangements to get some books to you, because I do have some inventory, and make sure I can do that. So you can email me or offline, and I can work out the details in terms of that.
That would be fantastic. I have outlets to several groups of children, and so seeing any of those books would be fantastic. So
one of the other aspects of that book was one of the goals of mine was also to enlighten the kids in that community about that particular district. And so the architecture was really a big part of West Adams. And so within the book, it also talks about the different types of architecture, so that when young people are walking through that community, they can tell what type of architecture that it is. So it's also a learning process. And then it also talks about different homes. There's a tremendous amount of historical homes. I think it has the most historical homes than anywhere else here in Los Angeles.
Okay, I'm going to reach you offline. This is a question from Stephen. What are the activities taking place at the Museum of Art, American Art, Los Angeles, given your role as the vice president of the board?
Okay, so right now we're just putting together some programming. And one of the things I want to do, and I haven't really quite put it in place just yet, just in terms of, we're going through this whole process of making it's safe in terms of the pandemic and getting over that. So we're looking to go into that space sometime in the near future. Some of the things that I envision is doing a program very similar to what I did with the Watchtowers. A Tales from the Kids summer program, sort of programs, and opportunity to enlighten young people in this community about opportunities in the arts, media, and entertainment industry. So that means working in film, in TV, graphic design, and in the web. So that's one of the ongoing programs that we're looking to create. Because I mean, the museum is just, I mean, art and Black art is a tremendous opportunity in order for us to learn about our history and envision what our future is through art. It can be a very powerful medium.
Fantastic. You're my best friend. She passed away in 2019. Vita Brown talked highly about you. Yeah,
she was such a wonderful soul.
Yeah, curator for the for CAM, California Art Museum. Had done some amazing events at CAM, and she spoke highly of you all the time.
Well, thank you.
David, this is Robin. You know, with everything becoming digital now, you know, one of the questions that we have in the chat box is how much is cartoons is being done on paper versus digital?
Well, you know, the industry has changed a lot. I mean, initially, most political cartoonists were hired by newspapers, and with the demise of the newspaper industry, so most of the cartoonists lost their jobs, or either that they started using syndications and what have you. So now a lot of the work is being done on the web, which kind of changed the industry quite a bit, and hopefully it doesn't it discourage young people from getting into this particular industry. But the opportunities aren't quite there. And the other thing about the web too is, once you put something out there, people will take your work all the time. So there's not a model created just yet in terms of being able to make money off your work. Once you put it out there into the social media and the digital world, then people take your work. I mean, it's flattering to be able to have your work shared. And what have, because I'm always sometimes amazed at where my work shows up.
We're in a global economy. I said this in 2006 when I first got in Supplier Diversity, that when baby Jesus was born and the three wise men came from the three different continents with their wares, that's when the global economy started. So everybody listen up, because at the end of the day, that's where we are right now. Matter of fact, we've been there for a minute. Is there an organization for Black cartoonists?
There's not an organization for Black cartoonists. I belong to the American Association of Editorial Cartoonists, and I've been part of that organization. And matter of fact, I served on their board for a couple of years. And I think that even though things are changing, but traditionally, people of color and women have always kind of been marginalized in that particular industry, in that particular segment. But most of them are, middle-aged white men. And to me, a middle-aged white man does not see the world through the lens that I see it, or people of color.
Well, and to your point, here's another question, and you've talked about this. Well, how do we help grow these young Black artists who want to become cartoonists, who may eventually become a political cartoonist or what have you? So if there's no Black organization, I think that there has to be an opportunity there.
Well, there are some now. There is a Black organization. It's more geared toward comic books, because I worked, and I'm not committed to the comic book industry that I once was. But there's a Black organization that I became part of in the 90s. It's called the Black Age of Comics. And what we would do is we would meet once a year, usually in Chicago, because there was a lot of brothers from Chicago that were independent producers like myself of comics. And then there's also Comic-Con. But Comic-Con, again, when I would go to Comic-Con in the 90s, there was, you would know all the brothers. Oh, that's so-so. This, give a nod. And the positive thing about what I've experienced with Comic-Con in the last couple of years is more people of color, more women. And I'm really excited about that change. And I do think you're going to see more. I mean, boutique and specific type of Comic-Cons these days. There's several Black Comic-Cons, throughout the United States, which is a very specific niche. And that's exciting to see that. Matter of fact, and I'm going to give a plug. There's it's a Black collectible bookstore, and I'll put the information in the chat box. That specifically, it's Black owned, and Black collectibles and Black comic books, and it was really exciting to be able to experience that.
Do
That's
you,
cool.
David, do you think it's more young people are becoming Black kids? Because I see it in my classes because of the gaming industry, because they use a lot of avatars.
Yeah, I would agree. I think the gaming industry is also a component where there's opportunities for people of color. Yeah. But I think that in parallel to comic books and graphic design, I think gaming plays a huge role. Matter of fact, at least two of my students that I had when I did my Tales from the Kids program, having a published book, having their work published in the book, first of all, gave them the opportunity to get accepted into the art schools.
Mhm.
So, when a student wants to get into art school and you can show you're published in a
Product.
book
Mhm.
and have a product like that, that's very powerful. And so there's a couple of my students that are actually working in the gaming industry. And I'm really excited about that knowing that my program created that opportunity for them to create a portfolio so they could take advantage of that opportunity.
So
So
David,
Mm,
excuse me, I don't mean to cut you off.
sure.
But I guess what I want to know, and I think that we want to know, is if a kid, has these natural abilities, or they like to write, they like to draw, they're doing graphics. Let's just talk about what you would consider in today's market the basic education that they need. Even
Well,
as you just mentioned, if they can start working on a portfolio, that
right.
type of thing. But from an academic standpoint, let's talk about that a little bit.
Okay, academically. Okay, so first of all, and when I was in my classroom, the first thing I talk about is them understanding the industry. And so understand the industry and where you fit in, and what niche your skills would fit into.
Mm-hmm.
I also was certifying student in the Adobe programs. So my classroom was Adobe certification program. So understanding basic programs like Photoshop, InDesign, Illustrator, because we're, like, as you mentioned earlier, we're going into this digital economy, and so it's not so much drawing so much, and even when you're drawing, now you're drawing on the computer.
Yeah.
It's all digital, so
Yeah.
that's a different arena. But let me just talk a little bit about understanding the industry. So if I can make an analogy with a landscape, figure there's a landscape, with hills and valleys and all types of obstacles. So understanding that industry will help you to be able to navigate through that to get to where you want to get. And I think a big part of it, especially nowadays, is more about like branding and who do you know? I mean, unfortunately, I know when I look at my career, since the first job that I got when I came to Los Angeles, every other opportunity came from someone that I knew or someone that knew my work. So, I mean, even the opportunity for me to be the political cartoonist for the Sentinel came from my comic book work. And the associate editor at the time, Lena Ward, you might know Lena,
Mm-hmm.
and she saw my comic books, and at the time the cartoonist at the Sentinel was retiring, and she called me up. Her and James Bowden called me up, and they said, "Hey, we have an opening for a political cartoonist." So the fact that at a young age, building a brand, building a portfolio, those are very important, essential elements, because there's no lack of talent, or ambition, but I think there's more access and opportunity. And that's one of the things I want to create with the program at the museum is actually creating a platform and an opportunity for kids to get exposed to that in some direction of how they can channel and refine their skills so they can actually find jobs in the industry.
Greg?
So let's see, a couple of rapid fire. Who's your favorite Looney Tune cartoon
Looney
character?
Tune, that's got to be what's the guy with the guns?
Wile E. Coyote?
Wright Coyote. Well, you know what? I like his determination. You know what I mean? He never gives up.
Is there anything that curates any of the past Black cartoonists? You know, especially some of the older ones. I popped in some names. Can't find them right now. But like Maury Turner and
Maury Turner. You know, I got the opportunity to meet him. You know, in 2005 because they honored him actually, the American Association of Editorial Cartoonists, and I had the opportunity to meet him. And you know, sometimes timing is everything. And he had started with his cartoon series when around the time that when he was trying to get started, the syndication would not accept his work. So and when Martin Luther King got shot, that was a pivotal point where suddenly the syndication were looking for something that addressed that issue. And also he inspired Peanuts. Peanuts did not have a Black character until Maury Turner inspired him to do that.
Wow, that's amazing.
yeah, a couple of others were what was her name? Susan Orms. Anyway, so there isn't anything that categorizes or curates Black cartoonists in terms of a.
Well, there's some books, and I can put some more information in the chat room to share with you. But there is a friend of mine named Tim Jackson, who was the political cartoonist for the Chicago Defendant for a number of years, and he put together a book about Black cartoonists. So he actually has a whole list of the different cartoonists and a little bio on each one of them. So there are a couple of publications out that document, Black cartoonists.
And do you draw a distinction between cartoonists and comics?
I straddle the line, actually creating a comic book is a whole lot more work. It's very labor intensive. And then oftentimes it takes more than one artist. There's someone that pencils it. Well, even before that, you got a writer, someone that writes it, scripts it, and then you have someone that pencils it and lays it out, and then you have an inker that inks it in, and then the last phase of it, someone adding color to it. I know when I got started, my first LA Phoenix series was all black and white, but nowadays, everyone wants to see color. You gotta have color, and that can be very labor intensive, and that's when the skills as in Photoshop and the digital skills come in, in terms of that.
Would you equate it to the difference between photography and a movie?
Yeah, it's like taking a still photo and then bring it to life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas a cartoon can be singular.
Yeah, singular. Like
comics has a storyline that you've got to,
Well, not only that, but you figure a page in the comic, maybe 6 drawings, 6 individual panels. So you have, depending on the storyline, then that's just labor intensive, just in terms of the drawings.
And is LA Unified still they used to have an arts integration program, whatever, is that still ongoing? Are they still trying to integrate?
Well, I don't know if they actually, because I was part of the program called the Career Technical Education Program.
Okay.
So that's actually a LIV or ROP that they used to call it, where what happened in the 80s, just to give you a backstory, in the 80s, students were graduating from high school with no marketable skills. You know, so they would graduate from school and just work at McDonald's or what have you. So in the community college, they started a program, career technical education program, and it was specifically targeting toward adults that needed marketable skills so they can get jobs. So they took that program and brought it into LA Unified, and so they have a, and it's a growing program. And I think at this point they may have 300 or 400 career technical education teachers for different specific career tracks. And so so a student would take his core classes and then maybe take a career technical education class. So I would have students, they had their math, they had their English, and then they would take design or animation with me. So that really kind of makes them a whole lot focused and give them skills. Like a student, like I've certified probably at least 50 or more students in my program, in the Adobe program. And for an employer that's worked an advertising agency, maybe someone in the film industry or publishing industry, to have a student that already has the capabilities of using a Photoshop or Illustrator or InDesign or even like Premiere, it's gonna really boost their opportunity in terms of marketability, in terms of a job in the industry.
David.
And then the last question, and this is coming from Karen A. Clark. But this is
Karen
also,
A. Clark.
Karen A. Clark. But this is also an opportunity for your 30-second commercial. Is that where can someone buy your comics and where can they go to follow you? How do we get in touch with you? What's your website, etc.?
Okay, my website is davidgbrown.studio. Right? But I'll put that in the chat box too.
I have one quick question because I
Sure.
think this question was asked a couple of times, and there are a number of artists online. You mentioned grants. So are you a nonprofit or are you an individual? And are there other opportunities that are out there for the artists that are online that they can get grants in order to continue their works? So
I started out as what they call an artist in residence. And that was an individual grant program that they started. Well, actually, it was started after the riots in Los Angeles. I mean, I did have a nonprofit for about 5 years. It was an extension of the Tales from the Kids program. But there's opportunities out there, especially with the Cultural Affairs Department. The other thing I just want to mention too is I know I mentioned I worked with the NAACP. And a couple other organizations. Now, the other thing you can do is you can partner with a nonprofit. So I went to the NAACP with that concept and partnered with them. And then the NAACP, because they're a nonprofit, they can apply for the grant. And they become the fiscal receiver of the funds. And then you're built into that budget, if that makes sense.
That's excellent. So I hope that.
So I don't know if your organization is a nonprofit. I mean, so I could come to you and say, "Hey, Crystal, I have this idea of maybe creating this book about opportunities for young people in business, right?" Mm-hmm. So I'll give you some of the structure of it, and maybe outline some of the details of it, present it to you. You can apply for the grant, and you become the fiscal receiver of it, and then we work together in terms of executing that particular opportunity.
David,
I'm going to talk to you about that.
Let's stop. I'm sorry, David. I want to thank you for coming on. I think everyone should give him a round of applause, virtually and whatnot.
Thank you, David. Appreciate it.
And at this moment, we have our resident expert, Colette Moore, has something to share with us.
Hey, good morning, everybody. And David Brown, I grew up across the street from a David Brown, so that's always a good name. So it's nice to see you and the good work. And thank you for sharing like one of the first things you were saying is understand your industry. Got to understand your industry and got to understand your business. And so thank you so much for sharing that. You've been at it a long time, man. So we appreciate hearing all the good work that you're doing for the community as well. So you guys, it has been too long. I have missed you. It's just been very, very busy. And I'm getting ready for our daughter's wedding in just a couple of weeks. So anybody that's been through that, y'all understand anyway. So I wanted to share, and I actually just found a couple of things. Of course, you all know PPP is closed. Want to talk about forgiveness. The EIDL is still open though. So this is the low cost loan that you can get, and 3.75% is up to 30 years. And I always want to share this. We are sharing this in our funding workshop every Wednesday, but this, you can't get cheaper money, basically, you guys. So if you are still in need of disaster funding and you have not gotten the EIDL, or you may need to expand, this is your opportunity. If you had an impact from COVID, this is your opportunity to make sure that you apply for this EIDL loan. So if you're looking at, you know, this is to address any gaps that you might have had. 30 years, it can be deferred. There's minimal collateral required. There's no personal guarantee under 200K. Versus what you're seeing with a standard like SBA loan. All of those, the rates are higher, the terms are higher. And there's no processing fee. Anybody that's gotten a loan before, there's always a processing fee. So I encourage you to evaluate this loan. Not saying you have to take it, but this should be part of your consideration set if you are looking for additional funding. This is pretty much right now the last of the federal funding that is still available in a larger way. So if you need help with that, we can assist you. And we do have advisors at PCR SBDC that can assist you. And for those that are new, I'm sorry I didn't say I'm with PCR SBDC, and we provide consulting and advising and workshops to help small businesses, particularly underserved small businesses, to be able to make it. And you guys, we've got a lot of work to do to help Black small businesses, because we are still continuing to struggle in access to capital and credit and these other areas. So whatever we can do to advance Black businesses to move forward, we want to be able to do this. So get more information on this. Consider this EIDL as an opportunity before it closes. And it's scheduled to close at the end of this year. However, as you all have seen, some of these programs will close without notice. Right? They just close. And so you want to make sure that you are in the hopper before that happens. Also for PPP forgiveness. So I got a call today. The whole point of the PPP was for you to have it turn from a loan to a grant. Get help getting this. I had a call this morning about some complications and things that people didn't understand. If you were a schedule, a C Corp versus an S Corp, or, a contract, whatever your structure is of your organization may impact some of your forgiveness. So you definitely want to make sure that you understand this. We are doing this every Thursday still, because we want all of our businesses to be funded. And I think Robin might have shared this a few weeks ago. I wanted to bring it up again. This program is still open, and it's the Local Renter Owners Collaborative. So this is the purpose of, in South Central and a little bit of East LA, there are many small property owners and apartment owners that have been struggling. Some are getting closer to foreclosure because of the lack of being paid by their renters. And so this particular program will pay up to 80%, and it goes back like really far. It goes back to March of 2020, and it's to help businesses, or to help small property owners keep their property so that they don't just get sucked up by the larger corporations that are coming through, so that you can keep this as an asset for your family or for your family business, whatever it is that you're doing. So I wanted to share, guys, I think I took the map out, but I'll tell you the borders are like Western to Manchester to like near USC, And then just on the other side of the 110, if you need this, you can apply to this here though, and I'm going to provide a link for this presentation so you guys can see the information and be able to click through. Okay. But I hope you take advantage of this if you have a property or know of anybody. And then also for renters, if you're a renter and your landlord is struggling, make sure that they're aware of this program and then can apply. Okay. Then I just found this one. This is a really interesting one. This is the National Black MBA has just launched a new program. It's a Scale Up and Pitch Challenge. Applications are due July 26th. And so this may be, I'm not sure how many levels yet. I didn't get a chance to see, but this is going to be in this presentation and you guys can go on and find this. And this is the National Black MBA is hosting this, this pitch challenge and with money. Don't we like pitch challenges with money? That's even better, right? So we're looking at that ourselves. And then this other one I found, which is Sephora Accelerate. So if there are any beauty businesses on, Sephora has a program here for founders of color. They have a pledge here. Go and take a look at their program. They have some kind of boot camp, retail boot camp. And so if you are in the beauty industry, and this may be an opportunity to test in a local market before going wide, and they want to incubate founders who are people of color. So this will be included. I just found this one. So this is a really great opportunity for all the businesses here. And then there's a couple of more here. Stacy's Rise Project. That's a specialty food and beverage project. That's up to 10 grand. That closes July the 9th. The website is here, and this was part of Hello Alice. The Halstead Grant. This is a jewelry maker grant, and this company seems to specialize in emerging silver artists, silver jewelry artists. And I rarely see jewelry specific grants. So any jewelry makers here, this could be the one for you. Make sure that you apply for this. There's also Hello Alice is still going. There's a resiliency program here. The Amber Grant for Women, that's the monthly program. The June just passed, closed yesterday. July is going to be open. So this is every month. It's a $4,000 grant. So I hope some of you all have applied. And I ask this, any ladies on the call that have applied, please let me know. And anybody that got it, please let me know. I want to find out if people are getting money as well. Then wanted to share for those on the restaurant side, or you know someone, we are doing a food truck focus. And that's going to be with Doolinville, LA Grind Coffee, or LA Grind Coffee and Tea, Scroggin Smokehouse Barbecue, and then Burnt to a Crisp. And these are food truck owners that might have been brick and mortar first, and then they bought a food truck, or they went reverse, did a food truck, and then now doing brick and mortar, or only doing food trucks. And I think it'll be very helpful if anyone is considering this as an option. Even I know that there are some also retail trucks as well. Like for Juneteenth, one of our clients has a boutique out of a truck. So I think anybody that's interested in this type of mobile business might benefit from this presentation. Then we have a workshop coming up on how to shop for and interview your bank. We found this particularly important because, as you all know, during COVID, you couldn't find anybody to call with your bank. So how are we going to get better at doing this? We get to choose. So choose well. Understand what your needs are for banking, and then choose well. We're doing this with California Bank and Trust, but I expect it to be knowledgeable that you can apply to any bank that you might be considering and interviewing. Then I wanted to share this LA Optimized Accelerator Academy. I put the link in here. This is to get your digital activity ready. So this they do this like once a month now, and it's free, and this is to help people in the digital marketplace. So I encourage you to participate with this program. This is LA City. And so if you go to this link and you scroll down, you'll be able to see where it says, you know, their monthly workshops as well. And then finally, just wanted to provide, we have all of these resource webinars that we've been providing. We do have some new workshops that are coming up in the next month or so that we've been working on as COVID starts to shift. So we do have some upcoming workshops with a focus always on financial fitness. So everyone on this call, we want you all ready. Let's be financially fit so that we can have generational wealth in our community from the businesses that we create. So please go to pcrsbdc.org, and that's where you can register for the workshops. If you're already a client, then just feel free to go on and take a look at that. So that's it for me. I know that's a mouthful, but I was excited to find some new stuff to be able to share with you guys today. And for African-American businesses, I'm going to put this presentation into the chat so that you feel free to access it. It should be an open file. And if not, then I will get it to Crystal. I did this on the fly.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. That's some good stuff. And I actually have a number of clients that have been asking for resources.
Oh, great.
So I will be sharing.
Great. They're starting to get a little slim. So you got to really dig deep to find some of these resources now.
Yeah.
So I hope that you all take advantage of those. So
I was looking forward to you because somebody wanted me to dig deep and I didn't have that time. So I knew you would have. So thank you very much. Appreciate
You're
it.
welcome. Good to see you.
Emma, you had something you wanted to share with us?
Real quick, and thank you, Colette, for providing the information regarding some of the funding programs we have. Unfortunately, we are running out of money. And one of the things I wanted to tell you, the restaurant revitalization fund is depleted. So if you got the letter last night, the email went out, if you haven't received your funding, you will not receive it. The applications will stay in the platform if the Biden administration give us some additional funding. So just be aware. And we paid out a lot of money across the country for that, but a lot of small businesses did not get what they deserve. And so unfortunately, it's going to hurt them more. So just be aware of that. And as soon as anything comes out, I can let you know, but we just got the information this morning. So Colette, you'll get it also. So thank you very much. And she said everything I wanted to say. Real quick, if you're going to apply for the EIDL loan, do it now. That's all I'm going to say.
Money running out, guys. That was the underlying question, the statement.
And get help, because there are a couple of tricky things that have gotten people messed up and then they didn't get the right amount of money. So if you need to see an advisor, please see us right away.
Yes.
Okay. Miss Carla.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I just wanted to say hello. I will see you all next week. I'm Carla Palmer. I'm the Assistant Director of Development for a nonprofit organization here in Los Angeles called United Friends of the Children. We serve current and former foster youth in LA County, providing housing and education support to them. So I will be speaking next week and I'm looking forward to it. I know you guys are running out of time. I have a hard stop as well, but I'm really happy to be here. Thank you, Mr. Turner, for inviting me to this wonderful space. I wish I would have known about it earlier because I was a part of a grant committee and we gave away $1 million to Black businesses. And so I wish I would have known, but I know now if we ever do it again. So thank you.
Well, Ms. Carla, that's a whole nother workshop that we'd like for you to present on, applying for grants and the kinds of questions and how people need to prep that. So let's talk about that. I think that would be very beneficial to this group here.
Awesome. Yeah, I need to do some more workshops for RBD. So let's see how we can make that happen under the RBD, the banner. So Stephen, you're gonna take us out?
I'd like to thank everyone for joining us today. Again, my name is Stephen Turner. I'm the managing principal of the Slayton Group. We're a risk management insurance company specializing in workers' comp, general liability, and group insurance. As well as I'm a proud association of the Black Business Association, been around 51 years. I just want to show a little bit something for Bianca. If you can see this right here. I'm frozen.
No, we can see it.
Yay.
I think that she sent it before for Christmas, her card, her daughter. So again, we'd like to thank everyone. Tune in next week. Paula Palmer will be there, as well as it's on our website. We have
Now he's frozen. So now we got one quick question from Jasmine. Bianca, congratulations. And for any of you that know Amity Livingston, she is being honored for the Small Business Minority Appreciation. But if you know her, reach out to her and congratulate her. She is over the top right now, and as she should be.
Well deserved.
Yes.
Jasmine, take yourself off of mute quickly.
There's a homeless feeding on July 4th in Skid Row at 11 o'clock. If you'd like more information, I can email you.
Put that in the chat box, baby.
Okay, I will.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you
Okay,
guys,
good.
you know how to save the information in the chat box. You just go to the chat, you click it on, and to your far right where the three dots are, you click on those three dots. And then
And
at the
save it to
very
you.
top, it says save chat.
Thank you. Thank you.
All righty. Thank you all for joining us. We come back next week for Carla. This has been fantastic. David, just off the top, just awesome. Thank you so much. I definitely want to have some conversations. All kinds of ideas running in my head, especially for the kids that I work with, and the opportunities for their future. So thank you so much for sharing, and thank everyone for joining us. And we will see you next week. You will be able to see this a replay of this on our website. Stephen, I will get it to you ASAP, and you can go to the communitybriefing.com and check it out and share it, guys. All righty. We'll see you guys next week. Have a beautiful 4th of July weekend. Be safe. We are not out of a pandemic, so make sure you mask up. The Delta variant is just doing some things. And I heard yesterday there was some almost 1,200 new cases. So that's significant in my book. So mask up, wash your hands, social distance, and take care of yourself and your family. So have a beautiful 4th of July. And we'll see you guys next Thursday. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
That's all, folks.
I just want to say, hey, David, this is Ardina.
Thank you, Greg. Ardina, you need to talk to David about some grants, my dear.
For real. How you doing, David? You're on mute.
I'm doing great. Thank you.
That was good.